Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Our webinar today is going to be on the interface. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to jump on and play around with it. We're going to have a release tonight. It'll either be tonight or tomorrow night, but we're going to put in some new features and fix a few little minor bugs that we caught over the last week or two. Those have been fixed, and we'll be implementing them either tonight or tomorrow. So you'll see a couple new things when you jump on to the platform. Can everyone hear me? I'll make sure. I'm going to send out a message and just make sure people can hear. I'm going to go ahead. Yes, okay, great. We're going to go ahead and start. Thank you. Okay, so the interface. We hope it's intuitive, but we'll always listen to your feedback. If there's something that just seems a little strange, please reach out to us. Or if you have an idea, please reach out to us. And we built this for you and by us. We have a number of teachers also looking at this, but the goal is to make it as simple as possible to save time. So when you log in, you go to log in. If you are a Gmail, if you're logging in with Gmail, sign in with Google as a teacher. If you're not or if your school is not using Gmail, you can sign in with the email and password. We talked about that at the workshop. So once you get in, you have creating a class or creating a lesson. You can do either first. It's up to you. And I'm going to go ahead and start with creating a lesson. And what I did is I clicked create new lesson. And I type in the name of the lesson, the summary, which this can pan out. If you pull this corner, you can open it all the way up so that you can see it all. Adding key terms is just typing in the key term that you got from the standard or that you think is very important or that you think will demonstrate competent, help you understand if they're demonstrating their competency. And then so in this one, you see the ones from the wind turbine. And then right here is where you can go and build out your different phases. You may only want one phase. You may have 3 or 4 things that you want them to go capture and demonstrate their competency on. And when you click the pencil, it allows you to do the edit. So it will start with saying step 1, and then you click the pencil, and then that allows you to name that phase. Currently there are 3 icons. One of them is reflection questions. The other is, do you want to send them video or do you want them to capture their own, or screen record, or activate their device camera, or upload a video? And then, do you want to send them narration or do you want them to create their own? So you can do a little mix of either, and I'll show you that when that would occur. One of the things that we've been discussing at CrossBraining is having one more icon that would sit above this called target. So it'd be like your learning target. And what that would do would be a brief description of what you're telling your students to go out and capture. And so we're going to be reaching, we'd be very interested about your feedback on that. And we'll send out some ideas to you before we actually implement it, to see if it's a feature that you think would be valuable. So in here you can see those 4 steps that we did with the wind turbine. So this next question, or the question that you have to ask yourself when you're in the phases, is the teacher uploading the video and sending it to the student? Is it a mix of the teacher and the student putting in video, or is it all students putting in? Is it just the student groups putting in the video? On this platform, you can do a mix. You can do it all. You can be the teacher and send them all the video. It can be a mix. You can send them some of the video. And I'm going to show you at the very end of this today how I did a mix with some students actually just today. And, or it can be you just go out and capture your own video. So when you do click the video icon, you can upload a video that's from that would be from the GoPro. You experience that. And again, we're still on the teacher side. You can capture video, activates the camera on the device, and then screen recording. And you would just decide again, what is it that you want them to demonstrate to you? In this one, you'll see that I activated the Chromebook camera and I recorded the front of the book. I saved it, and now part of my assignment is to have the students explain this thing that I'm recording. Narration. This again, the very first few times, whether I'm working with second graders or college students, I'm going to send them the narration because I want to set the expectation, and it gives them an idea of the expectation that I will have for them throughout the course or throughout the year. So I think it's really important to set that bar high and let them know that you're being very deliberate, that you're using the keywords that were typed out. And again, whether they are young or whether they're in college, I think it's really important to set that expectation. Type the narration out, and then on the student view, they'll see it. They eventually, in every case that I've used this, within 2 or 3 videos, and sometimes after the first one, the students will say, can we just get our own video, or can we get our own narration? Can we get our own? I'm going to go ahead, and I see that there was a question. I'm going to try to activate that. Let's see. Whoops. I'll figure out. I apologize. I'm not able to get into the QA, but I see that someone did have a question, and I will try to answer that before this is over. So the last thing we talked about was narration. Then I flipped the student view toggle, and you can see in this one, I gave them some footage, but then I'm going to have them go in their groups and capture the other footage that I want, which would have been the build, the test, and iterate in the final product. Assigning groups. When you assign groups, one of the things you'll see with the new release that we, again, will either be tomorrow or on Friday or Thursday, I'm sorry, is that we have the join code is everywhere now, so that you don't have to go search for the join code. Another thing is there was a bug in groups that we fixed. When students hit the join code, there was a bug where multiple people were being added to it. For instance, Jane Smith might have been added twice. And so we worked that one out as well. But once they get the join code, you accept all. And when you accept all of the students, you can click right here and decide how many people you want in each group. And then you can either create random groups or click create group and then add them to the group. Now, what you have to do in order to add them to the group is you have to click the group, then you click the person, the student. And so you have to click the group first and it will highlight it, a small highlight around it. And then you click the student and it will push them into that group. If you were to randomly generate them and you didn't really care, but you knew that Steve Smith and Rachel Smith should not be sitting next to each other, you would click the arrow and an icon would pop up to allow you to move them to another group. After you've done groups, so we've done the lesson, we've put them in groups. And actually, I'm going to go back one real quick. You'll see that up here, I always have these 4 things that have to be filled in order for the assignment to get to the student. So it's lesson, then put them in groups, give them jobs or don't give them jobs, and then you can see their status. So you'll see that on all of these pages. So on this one right here, I can one of the updates you'll see is we got rid of this icon, and the new icon will say randomly assign jobs, randomly assign. And this icon locks the student jobs. We talked about what the jobs are, who's in charge of making sure the reflection questions are great, who's in charge of making sure that the fluency is fantastic, and who's in charge of getting great footage. And again, I as a teacher, it's up to you how you want to manage this process, but I don't care who gets what. I just need a gatekeeper so that I know who to go talk to if something was done poorly. And so you can randomly assign to all of these groups with just one click of the button. And these are jobs that can't be stolen from a student, because in the end, it's their choice whether that video, that narration, or those questions are to the expectation that they think they should be at. And so you can have students choose, or you can put teacher assigned, which would then lock and not allow them to switch around the jobs. So now that they are in the groups, this also was the groups that I assigned when you were at the cohort training. You can see at any time, you can see the groups, and the students can also see who's in what group as well on their side. On the student side of the platform, which you guys experienced, you see the 2 lessons that were assigned to this student. If the teacher has not accepted them yet, it will show them that they are pending and that they're waiting for approval from the teacher. And this was what you guys experienced too on the student side. Just briefly going to go through this, and then I'm going to jump back to the teacher side. But now they see that this has been assigned to them. They see the assignment. The other new update is that the student, when it is assigned to them, currently it's a white page right here, and they have to click assignment. The new release in the next day or 2 will directly take them to this page so that they see the phases. Again, they can see, or you can, the assignment status, but the students can also see the assignment status to allow them to see how other groups are doing. Are they moving too slow, or maybe they're going a little too fast? And then we have the 2 dashboards as jobs and work is getting completed over here. The teacher can obviously see that it's getting finished, and it allows them to become a facilitator and go help the groups that need help. Or if you were to assign them, like on this page, the teacher assigned them to groups of 1, so they know what student to go help. And then over here, this is what the student would see when they get to their lesson. They would see groups, jobs, status, all of that. And then they would go ahead and start creating. And this one right here is the one I wanted to show you today, that where it was a little bit of a mix. So what I did is, using Tinkercad and one of the Next Generation Science Standards lessons for 5th grade, is to be able to talk about how position is relative to other objects in the solar system and universe. And it says, you will support an argument that the apparent brightness of the sun and stars is due to their relative distance from Earth. You will build this in Tinkercad. The sun is a star that appears larger and brighter than other stars because it is closer. Stars range greatly in their distance from Earth. Your group will then make your own Tinkercad 3D model, explain how the sizes are different, but appear to be the same when positioned in a certain way. And so what I did is I went in and created one called position, one called size of star. And then what I did is I put group member 1 and group member 2. So I put them in groups of 2. And what this allowed is for them to work collaboratively on the first 2 and then individually on the next 2. So they're still a group. They're doing some collaborative work here. And then I said, one of you have to be group member 1 and the other one has to be group number 2. And then you can add in your own. So I'm going to walk you through what they did. They went on to Tinkercad. And then here, what I did is I uploaded some video that shows, and you'll see it in a minute, that shows that all of these spheres look the same size, but when you move them in the 3D modeling program, you can tell that they are different sizes and that they appear to be the same size because of the position that they're in, but when you move it around, you can see that they're actually different distances apart. And then I talked to them about the size of the stars. So they'll click, or I put these 2 videos in, and then the student 1 put this video in their group, and student 2 put this video in, and they narrated all of them. And so right here, this is the video, and I'll play it through once, and then I'm going to pause it so I can show you. But so this, it appears that all of these are in the same position, in the same space. And I just recorded this in Tinkercad through the screen recorder.
The stars makes them appear to be the same size.
So I'm going to pause it there. So this is a really good use of screen recording. That feature is when you are trying to use a tool on the internet or the app, or an app or a Chrome extension that's helping you to teach some of these standards. This is where screen recording becomes pretty valuable.
Even though the stars appear to be the same size, you can see that some are larger than others.
And so right here, what I did is I screen recorded this myself, sent them the screen record pointing out that these numbers are different on all of these, even though they appear from this position to be all the same size, they're not. And so I did that. And that one's 7, that one's 9, that's 8. So you can see they're all different sizes. Now this part, oops, sorry about that.
Stars appear to be the same size. You can see that some are larger than others. The stars appear to be the same size because of their position.
And I thought that this student did a really nice job because they do all appear to be the same size, but they're not.
The stars
and
are
it was
different
because
sizes,
of position.
despite the fact that they look the same from a distance.
So the second student isn't demonstrating competency here because the goal was to get them to look like they were the same. Yet in this demonstration, they're clearly not the same and they're not addressing the standard, which is a powerful thing because now I can go back to that student and say to them, okay, let me show you, I'm going to demonstrate what I was actually trying to get across. And one student in the group did and the other student didn't. I could then go to that other student and say, hey, could you teach the other student in your group what you did? And then they could go back and redo that video. Where that type of learning and that type of demonstrating, I don't think can be done real well with a multiple choice question test or a multiple choice test. And I don't think it can be done well with an essay, but it can be done very well when you're demonstrating using video. And so I would then go back and say to the student, you got to reshoot that. So That is the teacher interface. I'm going to try to go into this question answer. I'm having trouble. It might be something to do with the Zoom settings that I'm on, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the chat side, and I'm going to ask if there's any questions. And if you could fill out questions on the chat side. Any questions? Or if there's any if there's some things that you'd like me to open up in the app to go through, I'd be more than happy to do that as well. This is on a slideshow, but I'm more than happy to jump into the app on the teacher side. So I'll wait for a minute. Any questions? It says, okay, like the learning target idea, especially as I can project that onto a board for admin and others walking by to view. Yeah, we've talked a lot about it over the last couple of weeks, and we also had some teachers recommend that, and we were just trying to find universal language. But I think the word target is one that's universal enough to when they scroll over it. And I'm going to go back a few slides to do that. What would happen here is if the student scrolls over position, a little pop-up would basically open up and say, during this position, I need you to show me blank, or the size of the star. What does that actually mean? And what does group member one actually, what are they supposed to be doing? So we're going to play around with that. We'll build it out into our staging environment, and we will probably reach out to you, to the group, and say, does this look right? Does it feel right? Is it a good interface experience? So we'll send that to you. Are there any other questions? If so, please, throw them out into the chat, and we can see if there's anything that you're getting stuck on or anything in the interface that needs more explaining. Okay, so if not, that's all we have for the interface today. And next week, or I'm sorry, if you go back into the email I sent you, you have a list of all the webinars. We will be are recording all of them, so that if you need to share them with anybody, or if there's some people that can't make it tonight, they can go ahead and watch it. And I hope that you're excited to use it, and please give us feedback and reach out to us if you have any concerns. And that will conclude the teacher interface webinar. Thank you very much.